What's going on, everyone? This is the Painless Flipping Podcast, where our goal is to help you get into real estate and go through your journey as an entrepreneur without as much pain as possible. Now, getting through your journey, obviously you're going to face some ups and downs, but our goal is to bring on experts on this podcast in real estate and sales mindset. Today we have an amazing guest, and I promise you, you guys are going to learn a ton from him. I'm going to learn a ton from him. Welcome, Jason. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, man.
We're doing this live. This is great.
We're doing this live, and I have a lot to learn from you. I mean, we've basically just been here, and I feel like we've already started like a couple times, getting into it. So this is amazing. So
thanks.
Do you want to take like 60 seconds to kind of let the audience know who you are, and then we're going to dive more into
So Jason Jenkins, 25 years kind of in the financial industry, and through that journey I've been really blessed. Built a software company, sold it to a private equity firm, done a TED Talk, just finished my third book, done some cool stuff along the way. Right. Things that I'm really proud of is I kind of helped 2006 found a school in the middle of this Ghana, Africa, this fishing village that's still going today, K through 12th grade, with my mentor that I met in my MBA program. So just really cool stuff that I feel really blessed about. And I'm excited to be here with you to kind of share a ton of value, hopefully, to your listeners.
I think you're going to give over deliver on this one. Yeah, so I'm super excited.
Appreciate it.
So the audience who we usually talk to are the people that are interested in getting into real estate, right?
Okay.
So just curious, have you coached any real estate investors before? Or gone route at all?
I have. I mean, at the end of the day, like more particularly like those that are, in the real estate transactionary business, like real estate agents. So yes, I have coached quite a few on separating themselves. Like, how do I separate myself in the marketplace and really communicate my value? And then secondly, just like, how do I become my best version?
Yeah, and let's talk about that. Let's get started with that because we were talking at the beginning of this about becoming the best version of yourself, right?
Yep.
Now, I believe that like discipline and it requires discipline to become the best version of yourself, and it's a process. Is it possible to become the best version of yourself like in a week? In a day?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think it truly is a lifetime journey.
Okay.
I mean, the way I like to think about it is that you have to decide and discover like really like who is the person that I want to become. We talked about this before we got started.
Right.
We live in a society that's like, hey, what are you doing, Nathan? Where is it going? It's all about the what. Mm-hmm. But when was the last time somebody said, like, who are you becoming?
The who. Yeah.
Because the who is what's truly sustainable in this life. Because we know life is going to be hard, but if you build a pillar of a person, right, and you're able to withstand those hardships, I promise you it translates into business because you see solutions better than others. Nothing great comes from chaos and fear.
Yeah.
Correct?
Of course.
But if I'm not intentional about my life, if I'm not disciplined about becoming the person I want to become, then I find myself floating through time going, the comments like, man, where did this year go? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're not intentional about what you're doing. And so I just believe you have to be both in your personal life, your professional life, as much as you possibly can. I like to make the comment like this. If you can't see it, then you can't hit it.
Right.
And that is my goals as well as my challenges.
Wow. Okay. So you're telling people like, hey, you got to know who you want to become in order to get there. Good luck, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, it's like anything. It's like, oh, we're just going to hop on this boat and go sail.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we going? You got to know where you're going.
Yeah, I'm reading a book right now called Free to Focus. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
I haven't. No.
So basically, it's just like in order to get to where you want to go, same thing. You need to know where you're going, or you're just going to be on a mountain not knowing where the top is.
Correct.
So let me ask you this: Are there specific habits that you would recommend to people in order to become the best version of themselves? It doesn't matter like who. I guess they have to want to become the best version of themselves. But is there habits across the board? They're like, hey, do this, and you're inevitably going to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah, I do. So in the spirit of being vulnerable with everybody here today, I really feel like my journey began on Monday, August 10th, 2020, on a Monday morning.
Okay.
I got out of bed and I walked over to my bathroom sink and I put my hands down and I asked myself one question. And the question was this: would I follow you? And my response was maybe.
Really?
And I was like, hold on a second, because I was so proud of so many things that I accomplished. Like, I've been married for 20 plus years. I have a great family. I've provided. I've done all these cool things that I kind of mentioned. I was like, why would I say maybe? Because you see, the man that I saw in the mirror for the very first time at almost age 46 was like, yeah, but you're not stepping into the best version of yourself. Wow. There was another person that physically wasn't there. And on that morning, I decided for the very first time I was going to go build that person. You see, the old Jason lived in some fear. Mm-hmm. There was some bitterness. I got screwed really hard in business, like for the tune of $10 million. So that sucked.
My goodness.
I was drinking too much.
Okay.
Dude,
At
that time, I was fat. Dude, I was like,
you look great, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Almost 50 years old. We're rolling.
Looking like you're about to compete at a, bodybuilding competition.
Hey, we're doing it. Yeah. But I was 256 pounds of just softness.
Okay.
And so there was a lot of those things. And so that morning I made a commitment and to go build it. And to answer your question, I like to put the analogy like this. So I want you to imagine for a second, you're walking in this dark forest and on this mountaintop, you're like, hey, that's where I'm supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And as you begin to walk up this mountaintop and it's cold and it's dark, out of nowhere, guess who shows up? The bear.
Okay. And
the bear represents what sits in between you and that mountaintop. Mm-hmm. If it's fear, if it's greed, if it's alcoholism, like whatever it is. And everyone on here has that. Like you have it and I have it to this day. Right? Yeah. So you have three choices. You have the first choice is to see the bear and run away, to go back away from it, just to simply acknowledge it's not there. Your second choice is to stand there and do nothing, but accept the same bad habit and get mauled and get absolutely destroyed because he's coming after you. So if it's drinking too much and you wake up the next morning, like, why did I do that again? Or anger or laziness, whatever it is, you repeat the same bad habit. Or your third choice is to fight and say, you know what? No longer. In fact, I bear the scars of beating my bear because I know on the other side of that bear is a greater person in freedom and I'm closer to who I'm supposed to be. So the question is, how do I do that? I do that in three ways.
Yeah.
The first is, it's all about subtraction. You have to remove the things out of your life that don't belong to create the space for the things that do. That you just have to do that. The second thing is and somebody told me this and it changed my life. It's the power of regret. So every night before I go to bed, I ask myself this one question of that day, like, what did I do too much of? Or what did I not do enough of?
You do that every night?
Every night, every single night. And what that does is that gives me the feedback of what I need to work on. I operate my day being grateful. Like I'm grateful to be here with you today. And I'm grateful for everyone that is going to hear our voices and hopefully it impacts their lives. I'm grateful for that. Yeah. But gratefulness does not give me feedback on how I get better.
Yeah.
Regret does. It tells me like, no, I should not have eaten that or drank that or said that, or I should have made an extra phone call. I should have put out an extra email. I should have done an extra push-up when I didn't want to. That's what it tells me. So when the next day I see that opportunity, I'm like, oh, there you are. I see you.
Right.
So regret.
Okay.
So subtraction, regret. And the third and the most important one is courage.
Okay.
It takes courage to fight the bear. It takes courage to look straight in the mirror and be like, yeah, not today. I'm done. You know what I mean? And so those are the three things that cultivate and help you identify what needs to go. Everyone on this planet intuitively knows I got to do a little bit less of this and a little bit more of this.
Yeah, because we all only have 168 hours a week, right?
Like that's it. That's it. And like you're like, well, I got to get in shape. Like you intuitively know, then I shouldn't drink so much. Yeah. And I probably shouldn't eat Taco Bell or, you know what I mean?
I was staring at that Pepsi and I said, I'm going to get the sparkling
There
water.
we go. Right. And so you get my point. Yeah. Right. Sure. We know, like, I don't need more information. We need more execution.
Okay.
And that's what we need in this life. And those are the things that we don't talk about.
Yeah. And people are stuck in the information. That's where
start on Monday. I'm going to get this. I'm going to get that. I'm like, no, like, you know what you need to do. You need to respect yourself and do it. I say that all the time, like respect yourself and do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah. Cause procrastination is a killer for success.
Hey, it is.
Wow. So I really feel like we can break down those three things. You just said subtract, courage, and was it the
subtraction, regret, and then courage.
Can we break those down?
Let's do it.
So with subtraction, when you say subtraction, I automatically think of how are you using your time, right?
Yeah.
And okay, so if let's say TV is taking up 3 hours of my time or my phone, how can I subtract that? That's not providing value in my life, and what can I add to it? So is that what you?
That's what we're saying. Is like, what are the things that I'm doing that are not serving me or not moving me towards that person or my dreams that kind of sit on that mountaintop. Because again, once I recognize where I want to go, I can pull back down what that person would do. Correct?
Yeah, of course.
And so it's like, okay, well, I gotta go do more of that. Right.
That person that you want to be.
Yeah.
Do.
And so from Elon Musk, I don't know if he's the richest person still to us here, whatever, he's constrained by the 24 hours in time. Right. And so people that excel at this world, they realize like this stuff is friends and that's got to go because I know what belongs if I truly want to go there. That's what that's about.
When you're getting vulnerable, we can all get vulnerable with everybody.
That's why I'm here. Let's be honest.
What specifically did you subtract out of your life, and what did you add?
So the drinking, the eating like crap, the living in fear, and kind of the bitterness. So again, in the spirit of let's just keep it raw and real. My wife, she's amazing. 25 years. I know she's known as Hottie Jenkins on my phone.
Hottie Jenkins.
So
let's go.
She's incredible. And but in her working, like it was one of those things where I was like, well, hey, let me tell you what I did today. You know what I mean? And she was a stay-at-home wife and like mom, and that's what we wanted in our goals. But I was just kind of being a jackass in some ways like that, So we had a good marriage, but where it is today is incredible because it really chose to. Sorry.
No.
I really chose to honor her, and so
you saw her more. I bet.
Yeah, and so those are the things that that I stepped into because I'm like, they deserve that. And you know what the coolest thing about this is? And my son, who's 21, didn't mean to get emotional. Apologize.
Hey, no, that's raw and real.
Yeah. My son.
man.
Yeah, seriously. There we go. Right. All right. Everyone live. Right. We're crying on this show. We didn't mean to do that. But my son said to my wife, he's out in college in Arizona. He was like, you know what, Dad has really changed.
That's awesome.
And my kids now want to emulate me. I mean, what greater like bestowed upon honor that a father would want his kids to like, that's my hero.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you're saying in 2020, you had to become that. You weren't that in your opinion.
No, so in a lot of ways, I was like, dude, you want to go crush it? Like I'm your type A. I'm like, we're going to go crush it. So like from the bank account to business to notching stuff off, like, dude, I was just like, go. But was I really becoming the person that I really believe like I was designed to be, like that, like God designed to be? No.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I tell my kids this all the time. I can't give you something that I don't possess.
Yeah.
The Jason Jenkins 4.5 years ago, he could have sat on your show and talked and, hey, cool. Like, here's some sales coaching and this and that. But the dude that sits here in front of you today, I'm a different man.
That's amazing.
I've physically, mentally, emotionally, and I have so much more to offer. I say it all the time. You can't give me something you don't possess.
Wow. That's a lot. That's some good stuff. And it's hard to kind of just like, fathom all that you went through, with in that it honestly doesn't seem that long, right? From 2020 to 24.
It's really not. Like if somebody goes to my Instagram and I put a 4-minute video together, like, yeah, he was fat. But what they won't see is even to this day, I'm telling you, even to last night, as I laid my head on the pillow, even yesterday, I was like, yeah, a little too much of this and not enough of this. It's my daily habit. It's the habit of the feedback loop of like, how do I move closer every single day to being my best version? Because that's all I can really do.
So when you started this journey in 2020, when you said, "Will I follow you," and you said maybe. What was the next step? Did you get a mentor? Did you ask someone? How
No.
did you read some books? Like, what was the process to changing?
So the two specific things that I did is I did 75 hard because I'm like, I want to do something hard. And that was kind of like a snapshot of like, okay, let's, get our shit together.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I found a group of individuals that were really high achievers, but that kind of wanted to, that really wanted to examine their lives and start asking some hard questions. And so the idea is that you have to be an archaeologist first before you can be an architect and build something. And so just started kind of digging into the heart and asking hard questions about, really examining and really spending a lot of time on reflection of like, yeah, that's not what I want. And so through that, that's where the change started taking place. And I really liked the results. I'm like, this is great, and that self-confidence and just so many things manifested itself.
So did the routine, did their mornings, the way you were spending time in the mornings, did that change immediately? Were you like, okay, I'm going to start? Well, I mean, you said 75 hard, so that does get you a routine of like working out twice a day and reading.
Yeah.
Would you say that was like a huge help to like shocking the system?
It kind of shocked the system, at least for me. I needed it. I needed that kind of a shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'm going to start waking up at 5 and I'm going to read and then I'm going to go to the gym. Okay. And then that just started becoming a catalyst to reshaping the habits and this whole standards plus habits thing. I actually own the trademark.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And,
You hooked it up with the band.
And, it came from just kind of that self-examination. And I was realizing like the more reading that I've done and some, I believe that we all stand on the shoulders of others that have gone before us. And so when you go back in time and you read these beautiful minds, they were struggling with the same things that we're struggling with.
Yeah, it's been the same thing.
It's the same thing over and over, right? And I was like, really, and it kind of just struck me in my own journaling. I was like, it really comes back to if I'm not happy with the results, I just have to examine what I'm doing and not. And then what's the standard? I get asked this all the time.
Yeah.
You see, the standard is what you're willing to tolerate. So I'm going to go back to the formula. If I begin to remove the things from my life to create the space for things that don't belong, I begin to tell the world, I'm like, well, this is who I am, right? I raise the flag, like, screw the goals. Like, this is who I am as a person, right? And then when I take the next tool of regret and I start doing more of this and less of this, what happens? I create what? Habits.
Yeah, that's right.
And when I have the courage to go do that every day, I'm going to get the results that I have. And literally, I got it tattooed on my shoulder. Like, if there was something on my tombstone, that's what I hope is on my tombstone, that I embody that and then I pass it along to as many people as I possibly can.
Awesome. So I want to ask you a couple questions about the habits you do daily. Is that okay? So do you meditate daily?
Yeah. So for me, yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
It's a daily thing?
Daily thing. Sometimes it's like active prayer meditation, if you want to say. I'm like
when you're driving,
and you know what I mean? I'm just super intentional about trying to be in tune. I can tell you what I do. So my daily is the reading and the gym, and then I
break that down, because I would love to know what your routine looks like.
Yeah, so the alarm is 4:45, 5 o'clock. So if I'm at home, I got 2 dogs, right? And they're like, oh, he's awake. So I feed the dogs and I go right to it.
See you.
I go right to a cup of coffee and I go right to the book. I go like whatever, at that time that is.
Like, is it scriptures or is it a good book or?
No. So for me, it's going to be, something that is going to be like meditation by Marcus Aurelius. Anything that is going to be forcing me to think about mindset.
Okay, right? So not like fiction based, like anything like that.
I never read fiction.
Okay.
Like if I'm going to sit down and read, I'm going to read something that's going to pour into my heart and soul and is going to challenge my thinking.
Okay.
And what's really cool about it is like when you're open to that, you just get flooded with ideas. So I'll read for, depending upon the mood, like 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And then I'm right off to going to hit the gym.
Awesome.
I just don't miss.
Okay.
It's just who I am.
Is that a daily thing for you?
It is a daily thing.
Okay. So
6 days a week, that's happening.
6 days a week. And then Sunday, I'm assuming you,
Sunday is honestly my time to kind of unplug. And one thing, so I live in Denver. And so, I say the last 3 years I love doing is the hot springs. Nice. So I have found something to where, and I encourage everybody who's watching this, like, you got to find the thing that allows you to unplug by yourself. Like, so moms, you got to get away from the husbands and the kids for a couple hours, you know what I mean? Instead of the dads, like away from work. And I'll tell you, like, that has been one of the more powerful things in my life is like, my wife knows like, hey, I'll check my phone when I get up there. Is everyone good? Got it. But I can have 3 hours of just reflection and just a form of meditation, if you want to put it that way, to where, man, I feel like I get flooded with so many ideas.
You realize, you disconnect.
Yeah, and I'm like, man, I got to go pick up the phone and say I'm sorry to that person, or I got to go do more of this. You know what I mean? It just allows me, to see problems that I can solve in the world. And
love that.
Like I do a lot of keynote speaking, and so I'll be thinking through what do I want that audience to take away, and I'm like, oh my God, that's a great idea. But I don't take it as my ideas. It's just, I'm so in tune, with listening. And for me, my faith is, so I'd be like, God just kind of speaking to me about it. It's like
Holy Ghost.
I was like, damn, like, let's go.
That's
you know
amazing.
What I mean? So,
wow. So, okay. So you do that once a week, the hot spring.
I try my best. Yeah.
Okay. Do you get massages as well? Do you do any?
Yeah, I mean, I try to take care of my body. Like I'm a real big, like, vitamin IVs and massages and stretching. Like I'm trying to keep the body in motion as much.
Can you do splits yet?
No, I can't do the splits yet. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. So you do that. Still curious. So then you go work out. Mm-hmm. Do you have a regimen? Do you just go and do HIIT? Is there?
Yeah, no. So I have a coach that kind of gave me a program. So it's kind of like a split. You know what I mean? Like, upper body, lower body. And so it's 6 days a week that's what we're doing. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
After gym, do you journal? Like what else does it look like in your routine?
So then I'm coming back and then I'm pretty locked in.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I'm locked in. Hey, we're showered. And then it's, I've got a pretty busy work schedule. So
okay.
I manage a lot of people and all that kind of good stuff. So, and I travel probably 3 out of 4 weeks. So when somebody tells me, oh, well, I travel, I'm like, if you travel as much as me, then kudos for you. But the reality is there should never be an excuse.
Right.
Okay. Like when I roll into a town, I'm like, I know where I'm going to eat. I know where that gym is. Like I know where those essentials are. Like, so that I'm removing any of those opportunities or those obstacles.
Are you intermittent fasting as well?
I've done that here and there, but no, not so much. I mean, I just kind of count my macros.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So when you're traveling, because I just got back on a flight today from Tampa,
okay.
You go to a different time zone. Like, do you still keep the 4:45?
Sometimes I cheat and it's 6 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because that can be kind of rough.
But if I know my day is like, so sometimes I do like day and a half trainings. We were talking about this.
Yeah.
That means I'm on a stage from 8:30 a.m. till 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And so I have a choice. Either I'm going to do that afterwards or I'm going to do that before. But I will not miss. And those that work with me know he is not going to miss.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And they're like, what's for dinner? Yeah, chicken, rice, boring. I'm like, yeah, great. But what's contagious about it, I could show you right on my phone. I got a text message yesterday. Someone who is kind of in charge of my schedule.
Yeah.
Her name's Carlene. She's around me all the time. She's down 40 pounds in the last 5 months.
Because she's seen you and
because she was like, hey, I got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
All I told her is I said, Carlene, who do you want to be? And then boom. And so, the same hat, Standards Plus Habits, I'll have to show it to you. She's rocking it. She sent me the text yesterday and she goes, Jason, for the first time, she's like, this feels like who I am. And she's like, I'm starting to do harder things. So
do you feel like you have more energy now?
Oh, 100%.
Good.
100%.
Yeah. So for the listeners,
yeah.
to break it down, so it sounds like no matter what you're hitting in the morning, you're waking up and you're doing your coffee, right?
Yeah.
And you say, then you read.
Yep.
Work out.
Yep.
And was that pretty much no matter what, non-negotiable?
Those are just non-negotiables. Yeah. Okay. I mean, there are the days where I'm just like, we all sometimes get sick or, you know what I mean? Or whatever. But like, Sundays are my chance to really kind of rest a little bit, you know, the body. So those would be the days that I allow myself to rest.
I love that. You should read this book if you haven't. It's called The 5 a.m. Club. Have you read that book, Robin Sharma?
I haven't read it, but I'm familiar with it. Yes.
Really good. It's about the power. They call it I think he calls it the holy hour, the sacred hour. It's pretty much what you're talking about.
Okay.
I think, there's many different books that probably talk about that morning, but it really is really important to start your day off.
It is.
Or to do it at all, right? Because I know sometimes the schedule can be funky, but wow.
Yeah, I would say this. I feel like the 5 a.m. club or whatever it is, I think the premise and the thesis gets back to what I said is that you can't give something that you don't possess. So if you don't start your day by giving yourself something first, then how do you plan to give the rest of the world what you got all day? Like, so I got to go fill up my water glass first.
Exactly.
So I can give out water the rest of the day.
Yeah, because then you're in a reactive state when you wake up immediately. If you're like, let me get a shower and I'm answering emails or looking at stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you don't look at
kids got to go to
too.
school. Listen, like life is busy and hard and everything else in between it, but like you got to create that space and time.
I love it. Okay, so that was subtraction.
Yeah.
Are you ready to go into the next one? Was it regret?
It's regret.
Okay.
Let's go.
So regret, self-reflection sounds to me that just says, okay, reflect,
Yeah.
right? So is that a process that you go through at night where you have specific questions that you read to yourself, or do you just remember, or do you just sit there and you're like, okay, let's think about the day?
I just reflect on the day. Like it's two set of questions, right? The first is, hey, what did I do today that I should have done less of, right?
Okay.
Okay.
It's
Hey,
the subtraction thing.
yeah.
Back
So
to
so
that.
remember, regret is hey, I got to do more of this, and less of this. So you're just reflecting on.
So that's pretty much the two questions then?
Yeah, those are the only two questions. And so at first, like when I started doing it, I literally journaled it, and now it's such a habit that like I can just see it and kind of just boom, like no. And there's been times, this is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like I remember one time, like my wife was asleep, and I'm like, man, I could have been a little bit kinder. So I woke her up. She's like, why are you waking me up? I'm sleeping.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah,
so just know when you're, what I mean, wait till the morning. I'm kind of joking with that one a little.
Yeah, no, I know.
You get
That
my
wouldn't go
point.
for good for me.
Yeah. So you get my point on that. But like it's beautiful because it's like refreshing because you're like, man, okay, that could have gotten better. Or yeah, I'm going to do more of that. And so when it comes around, you get those micro wins. You get good at saying no, 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 yes, no, 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 yes. And that's what that whole regret piece is about.
Have you had to change friends over the years? Yeah?
Yes.
Has that been really hard, or was that easy to kind of get rid of the friends and the people and the influences in your life that probably shouldn't have
For
been?
me personally, it was easy because when I flipped that switch on August 10th, I was like, no, because my biggest regret was how much time I'd let pass by.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm done. Like I was like, I'm not looking back. This isn't I'm going to get to day 76 on 75 hard, and I'll be right back at the bar. Like, no, I mean, I had people literally make fun of me. It was awesome. I loved it. They were like, oh, okay, what are you doing? The 75 hard thing? We're like, hey, we'll see you at the bar on day 77. I'm like, so that came around. And
That probably was a good indicator that they weren't
Oh.
able to be around, right?
Yeah, it was awesome because I was like, they were like, okay, got it. And they were like, oh, okay, well, Jason's on this kick or whatever it is. And they realized like, okay, he's not only not stopping, but he's continuing to progress.
He's a locomotive. He
Yeah,
can't
dude,
stop,
like you can't
you know?
stop us, baby. And now it reverted from, hey, making fun of to, hey, what are you doing?
And they want to know now.
Hey, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like I've noticed this, like, and now.
Why do you think people are like that? Why do you think people kind of don't support you when they see you changing, but when they see the results, they all want to piece?
I think it goes back to, I don't know who came up with the analogy, but it comes back to the crab in a bucket analogy, to where you put a bunch of crabs in a bucket. One tries to crawl back out and the other one pulls it back down, and I think it's because it's a reflection on when somebody begins to move outside that circle. They're like, oh, damn it. If he can do it, then I can do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing special about me, but those intentions, right? And so it's like, well, okay, that's on you. Your laziness, your insecure, like whatever, right? Because the same changes that I've made and that many others have made is right in everyone's hands. Like everyone who's watching this today, they have that capability of doing that, right? And that's why I get back to the freaking bear, because until you decide to truly fight that bear, you're never gonna get to the mountaintop. Like some people are like, dude, I got to go talk to my ex and ask for forgiveness. You're like, ooh, hold on a second. But you won't believe what he or she did to me. I'm like, I hear it, but you're letting that hold you back, right? Or, hey, I got screwed, or I got this. Okay, that was then, but like, you need to go fight that bear. Like, hey, every year I talk him at my kids' high school in their leadership class, and my daughter's a senior, so it was last year, and one of the girls came up and says, hey, my dad he's got a problem with drinking, like how can I help my dad see that's the bear? I'm like, what a magical thing, and I kind of talked to her through that, like helping her dad see that.
Yeah.
She's helping her dad get over his challenge with alcohol. Like how cool is that?
That's really cool.
Isn't that so cool? Like, so my point in that is, you can remember my analogy, you can walk up that mountain, but the moment that bear comes, your two choices are, all right, I'm out, so now I'm going backwards, or choose to do the same bad habit and get destroyed. And you're going to wake up the next morning going, why am I not making progress? Because you're willing to choose to stand there and do the same damn thing over and over.
So I think this is a good segue to courage. You got the bear in your face.
Yeah.
You got to have some courage.
You do.
So I have this question might come down the line, but you can answer it later if you want, but
Yeah.
it's mainly like, is the bear ever, can you ever defeat the bear? Is it, or is it just another version of you after you beat him? Is there going to be like a weasel next, or a
Yeah.
badger, right? Because as you get past and you go higher up in the mountain, like there's a book called The Dip, right? It's like you just get a little bit higher and then there's another one, and
Correct.
that's life. So is the bear ever really gone in this life?
So make it plural, right? There's
Bears,
just different bears.
Okay.
And so I'm going to be specific about one of mine was like, it was the bear of just fear, and so fear, because I got screwed in business. I was like, well, this sucks. And
Didn't you tell us with the amount, right?
yeah, $10 million. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I was like, I got screwed super hard. I was like, to the point where, like, when it was happening at the time, I was like, okay, I'm starting over again. And what does this mean? And, like, I don't know about you, but I can get pretty good at forecasting. Like, okay, if this doesn't happen, then how do we pay bills? It was just that whole thing.
Yeah.
But I was really gritty, and I was like, I wasn't going to quit, and I didn't quit, and it worked out well. But this bear could show up like that. Right. And I would be like pissed. And that didn't manufacture anything. Right. So a bear that took several years away, I want to answer your question, that maybe it could took, like 5 months away, got him down to 5 days, to like, okay, so there you are. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. So and because I could see him, I'm like, screw you, go pound sand. What's in my mind is not real, and so on. And now I'm moved on that. Wow. So whenever your bear of fear, greed, or alcohol comes up, you're like, yeah, dude, you're not going to win.
You got 30 seconds.
You got 30 seconds because I got to move on, right? I mean, that's the truth behind it. And then as you move up, like, there's just different bears that are going to like show up at different points in our life. But what I've come to discover is this: there's some core ones in all of us that are kind of unique. Yeah. Like things that I struggle with, you probably don't. And things you struggle with, maybe I don't. And the same thing that everybody's on here today, right? Yeah. So that's why it's so individualized.
And do you think people go through, well, of course, people go through lives without trying to handle or face the bears, right? They just like, don't worry about it.
I'm out. I'm running away. Like, there's no other option.
Because a lot of things happen. I've talked to a lot of people that, like, unfortunate things happen in childhood, like in your childhood, that kind of shapes your mind. What do you think? Do you feel like those are bears as well, that maybe 100%. They don't even recognize that that's a main issue, like a major issue in their lives? Yeah.
I gave some coaching to somebody. She actually lives here in Salt Lake, and her name's Lacey. And she was trafficked at a young age. Her parents were killed in drug dealers. I mean, some hardcore stuff. And the more that we talked about it, the more she leaned into fighting that bear. And she is an amazing woman, but she realized that she couldn't change the past. It's the old Greek saying that there lies the tree, meaning that, so the tree is dead and there it is, and we can't stand it back up. So what they say by that quote is I have to recognize it and move on. And so yeah, like, listen, people have walked through some really, really hard stuff, but I'm also a believer that when taken the right way, like, those scars are great lessons for everybody else too, to learn, like themselves, and for to learn, because, I don't know the why behind it. You know what I mean? Only God knows that, but there's something there that we can all learn from one another.
So I want to talk about, I was having a conversation with my friend, and I was talking about mindset and everything, like kind of the gist of what we're talking about now. And he's like, I don't think I want to do those things that we discussed, like about the subtracting the bad things in life. Because this is what he said to me. He said, I know a lot of rich people that don't do those things. So why do I need to do those? And he was connecting wealth to like them being happy or like doing things. What do you have to say with people that you probably see many people that are unhappy, that have a lot of money? So people that are struggling with what we're talking about, they're like, I don't need to overcome that because there's other rich people that are successful, and they're tying the success to the money. Yeah. So what do you have to say about people like that that don't feel like they need change because either they have money or they see other people that have money and they're like, I don't need it.
Yeah, I mean, to both, I would say is they're missing out on so much potential that is available to them in this world. That's what I would say. Okay. Because money is not going to make you a better person, right? Money is going to give you maybe some more luxuries, or, you know what I mean? More things that you're able to do in this world, and maybe have less financial stress. But listen, if you're struggling with alcohol, like I know a lot of rich people, like let's put rich as, I'll call it 500 million.
500 million?
500 million. Okay.
That's rich.
Yeah, that's rich. Okay. I'm talking about some real money.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're on your third marriage and your kids don't want to talk to you and you struggle with alcohol, but you got a big home and whatever, 10 Ferraris that you get to drive. Like,
yeah.
But so if somebody says to me, like, that's what success is, then I'm like, well, that's not success for me.
Yeah.
Success for me is that one of my favorite quotes is that old men plant trees that they'll never sit in the shade of.
Yeah.
That's why I'm on your podcast.
That's it. Yeah.
Right?
You don't know who's listening to this.
You don't know I don't know who's listening to this or gonna listen to it or gonna listen to it in 2 years from now. I don't know that, right?
Yeah.
But like to me, that's a life that's worth living. When we think about those that we've honored that have gone before us, it's because they contributed to humanity, in some way. So, I feel, to be honest with you, I kind of feel sorry for that person because they're missing out on so much potential.
Right.
Like I was never that extreme, but I was extreme in the sense of like, hey, I'm going to go knock down some stuff and I'm going to go get some stuff and so on. And like I said, I felt like, hey, I'm doing a good job at it. Until that day, I was like, I'm leaving a lot of potential Jason on this table.
Yeah. What would you say to someone to motivate them to do those things? Because it requires major discipline and a desire to be that we've talked about. Can you instill that in someone, or do you feel like that's just that morning it just happened to you?
I think I've come to learn that someone has to have, they want it. Like I do too much coaching, too much training. And I now get on stage and I'm like, listen, 100% of you are going to hear me in this room, but about 10% are actually going to do something. And I was like, oh my God, I want to be to the 10% person. You know what I mean? And I only say that because like, that's the God honest truth. I'm like, I need you guys to wake up on this.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, until somebody is truly wanting more for their life, then they're not going to do it. But here's the cool thing. It was when they begin to do it, they're like, why did I not do this sooner? Mm-hmm. Like, why did I not get rid of this and start doing this, And some people will never get there. So I've learned that, all you can do is be an example by the life that you live, and that you honor your words, you respect yourself. If I tell you I'm going to do something, then I show up and I begin to do that.
Right.
And I let that emulate itself to the world, like a lighthouse in a foggy bay, to where people are like, okay, that's what I want. Mm-hmm. Great. Then I'm here to help.
So let me talk to you about this, since we're talking about like becoming the best person you can be. How much of that enables you to gain trust, like in sales or immediately? Because like, I guess I'll just say this. Like for me, I feel like I'm able to gain trust pretty quickly. Okay. And I don't think it's anything I'm saying. I just think I'm not like tooting my own horn, but I feel like people can just see that I'm genuine.
Yep.
Like I can tell you're genuine, like you're a good person, right? Like
versa,
from what we're talking. So do you feel like that's like a key element of like becoming the best you can be? Is people just, they feel like an energy, or
100%.
They're like, oh, I can trust this person, versus, because I mean, we have people that tell us things all the time and we're like, I don't know if I believe that guy.
Totally.
So
I love that you said that, because I mean, I feel like we see that all across social media or just in life in general.
Right.
Oh, you shouldn't do that. You're like, yeah, I'm not too sure coming from you. Like, it'd be like me getting on here. In fact, I self-admitted, I'm like, the Jason that you would have interviewed 4 years ago this is a totally different Jason. I'm like, hey, guess what? You should stop doing this and that and start doing this. And you're like, well, dude, you're looking a little soft over there. And so we're planning to go hit the bar and have 20 beers afterwards. Like, no.
Yeah.
Right. So the most powerful thing that we have as human beings in a lot of ways is our authenticity. It is stepping into like, this is who we are. Right. And not masking that. Like, you talk about, what you're really talking about is you're talking about trust. You see, trust has two pieces to it. Trust has connection and credibility, and connection is found in authenticity and honesty. I like to say that the fastest way for me to know in a business context, if we can keep it there, is you possess the power of no. Your yes has no power unless you can say no, right? Like, oh man, this person's here to help me and serve me. And like that's what the world wants and needs. When people are like, well, hey, how do I separate my brand? by focusing on the tools and the connections and being that authentic version that the world can sense and feel, like you said to me, and I can feel from you, like, yeah, like this person's here to help. I'm kind of curious how they can help me. And that's where credibility comes in.
Yeah, and it's kind of tough in this day and age with social media. I feel like you can fabricate success, and you can fabricate that you're that person. What would you say is the best way to determine whether this person is genuinely like here to help me, or they're just really good at like saying the right things?
To me, it's in the results.
Okay.
Like, just show it to me. Remember, like, you can't give me something you don't possess.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm going to go here and I'm going to get this, or I'm going to try this. But if you're asking me to follow you, if you're asking me to do something, then you better have the results of what I want, or like, why would I pay attention?
Right.
You're going to give me marriage counseling, but you bagged on your wife for this long, or you know what I mean? Or what? Like, that doesn't make sense. Right. Hey, you're going to go give me, counseling on, how to get in shape, but I don't think you've been to the gym or eating too well, like wherever the context is. Right. Like, to me, like, that's the fastest way. Like, hey, just show me the results that you're trying to help coach me on.
So I'm curious about, so I coach, right? I teach people how to get into real estate, and there's two different camps I see in coaching in real estate. There's the hard money lender who's worth tons of money, and he drives the beat up truck. He doesn't care. He's just, he's fine with not being flashy. Then you have the guy that's leasing the Ferrari, that's trying to like show everyone how flashy he is. And so the results, you would say, the results for the Ferrari guy who's in debt and he's just showing the world. He's showing the world what they see as results. How do you?
That's tough. I mean, if you're just talking about like looking at somebody like on Instagram, or, you know what I mean?
Like social, right?
Yeah. Like, that's like, you're not going to get to know somebody. I mean, we think we get to know them, but no, they're filtering what they want us to know of them. Right.
Yeah.
Like, so some people are going to drop a bunch of F-bombs and tell you to go do this. And then there's gonna be people with the Ferraris, like whatever. Right. Like you have to discern, like, okay, what is it that I want?
Yeah.
So do I connect more with the pickup truck guy or the Ferrari guy that's laying in bed and stressed out because he's like, I got a $5,000 a month car payment, right? Or whatever. So I think that's just where self-discernment is really critical. So that would be my response.
No, that's a good response. And so what's one thing, we talked about a ton of great stuff. What's one thing you could, one advice or one habit, you decide, advice or habit that you could extend to the listeners of the Painless Flipping podcast to get them to, become that who that they want to become?
I would take it back to what habit I would say is I would tell them to start exercising the habit of regret today. Because what that's going to do is it's going to help you identify, like, I have to do less of this and more of this. You know what I mean? It's going to naturally tell you what you need to be doing in this life.
Yeah.
So if there was one thing that's going to engine your way forward, is simply that, is recognizing of like, yeah, hey, do you want to go out tonight? Nah, I think I'm good. I'm just going to stay home. Hey, honey, I'm really sorry for acting like that. Wow. And she's like, whoa, like, where did that come from? Because you're like, no, I got to be a better husband. You know what I mean? Like, those kind of things.
No, I love that. Can I add something to that?
Yeah, no, please.
So yesterday I was in Tampa. I was in Tampa for a mastermind, and I don't know if you follow MMA or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at all.
A little bit, yeah.
So yesterday I went to a seminar with Marcelo Garcia, who's like the greatest Jiu-Jitsu master of all time.
Nice.
And he was teaching us, and he said that like after how he became like one of the greatest was like what you said, the habit of regret. He would sit down after every practice and think about, what did I do good? What did I regret? Because obviously I got in trouble, almost got my arm snapped. And he would do that, and he applied that to his craft.
I love that.
Enabled him to become one of the greatest, because even if he's going against black belts, brown belt, whatever level he went to, he would always reflect. And unfortunately, I just don't think people take the time to reflect. So, tying that together, what would you say, if that is the habit you want people to practice, would you say they should set like a time every day to reflect? Or
I think at night, because it allows you to examine your day and your actions. Like, hey, where did I win? Where did I lose? What could have got better? Like 5 minutes. This isn't like a long drawn out thing. But sometimes when I did it, I was like, man, I found myself 15 or 20 minutes into it, right? Because like I had to, because there was so much there, you know what I mean? I was like, man, like, where did that come from? Why did I do that? What did it look, you know what I mean? Like there was just deeper self-reflection. But man, I bounced up and I was like, okay, I got to go make a phone call, send an email, get rid of that, do that. You know what I mean? Like then it just turned into action and you could just see and sense the progress. And you're like, this is super cool, man.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Whew. That was some good stuff. Well,
go.
I appreciate you being on here. I probably honestly could talk to you for
I feel the same way.
All
I feel
day.
the same way.
But hey, Painless Flipping Podcast, I love you guys, and we had a great time. If you guys want to reach out to Jason, I know you got a book coming out. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah. So just Instagram is just Jason M Jenkins _ love to have you follow. I kind of put out content all the time and let you know more about what I got coming in the future. I got some good stuff I'm working on.
Awesome. So Instagram is probably the best
Instagram is the best way. Yep.
Well, you heard it here first, everybody. Go to his Instagram right now. Go subscribe. No, it's not even subscribe. It's a follow.
There, follow.
Yes, sir. Okay, well, appreciate you coming on here.
Thanks so much.
We'll see you guys later.